Hi everyone. This session will be about social media trends in 2021. The use of social media platform changed significantly over the course of 2020. The lockdowns and the COVID mitigation efforts forced us to find alternative ways to socialize, to shop, and even to work. This is how new trends come up. For example, 2021, it's all about audio, and businesses are trying to connect with their audience using this trend. So for marketers, the most important questions are, what are the most important trends for social media this year? Is your social media marketing approach in line with these latest usage trends? For today, I have with me Amanda. Amanda Webb is with me for this session. Amanda from Spider Working helps small businesses grow their online marketing, specializing in optimizing their online presence for sales. Her marketing content on Spider blog has earned her awards nationally and internationally, and he just loves to talk about marketing. She has written for international websites, including Social Media Examiner, and for our friends from Agora Pulse. When she's not working, she loves watching Doctor Who, playing with her cat, and baking cakes. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for a great introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before jumping into this subject about trends, I have a question. Should brands and businesses jump on a new trends or they should stay until they feel comfortable? For example, everyone is doing podcast today. Is it podcast suitable for everyone?
I think the problem with trends is that they are trends. We don't know, are they going to endure? Are they going to last? So, here in Ireland, I think a couple of years ago, thinking about kids' toys, because they're the best places to find trends. There's a thing called a fidget spinner. I don't know if you had them.
Yeah.
And it was like this little bit of plastic. And I was so obsessed with them, I actually made my nieces buy me one because I didn't want to go into the shop and buy one myself. And, now if you mention fidget spinner, you'd be going, oh, that was ages ago. Then there's trends that kind of keep coming back. So I was born in the 70s, which now I'm showing off my age. And in the 80s, the Rubik's Cube was huge. Like, I had a Rubik's Cube, all my friends had Rubik's Cubes. Some smart kids could do them. The rest of us used to cheat. And they were a real trend for quite a long time. Then they disappeared, but they keep coming back. They're one of those trends. So if you could do the Rubik's Cube in like a minute, every 5 years or so, you're going to get to show off that skill again. So that was it. But I think the thing about long-term trends is that they stop being trends. They just become part of our lives. So we stop knowing, are they a trend? Actually, here's another example, QR codes. I remember a long time ago getting excited about QR codes, but nobody could use them. You needed to download an app. Nobody really knew what they were. And I think the likes of Snapchat, I think they brought them back because Snapchat, Snap code was basically a QR code. And now we're using them again because our phones have QR code builders built back in. And I saw a really cool thing recently in China. There was a game launching and they got all these this is a trend. This is a trend in marketing, tiny little drones with lights on that fly in sync to make pictures in the sky. And they had loads of pictures, and then they had a QR code that you could scan to download the app. So I think, QR codes have endured beyond being a trend, but it took a long time to get there. That's the problem. So going back to your question, should you jump on trends? I think the first thing is to make sure that you have a core of marketing that is working and delivering sales for you. And do not abandon that core, but build in what I like to call playtime. So when a new trend comes along, and if it's interesting and exciting to you, you can use, say, 10% of your working week to go and play with new trends, see how they work, see do you enjoy them. Don't be thinking about it for business from the start. Just go and play. And then you know how it works. You'll know if you want to put more of your 10% into that, if you want to work on that on a regular basis and see can it deliver sales. But keep your core. Because what happens to a lot of people, they go, oh, Facebook is dead, I'm going to go and do TikTok. And suddenly they've got rid of the thing that really works for them.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because first you have to understand how that trends work and how can you leverage that trend for your business. But
And there are advantages of going in early, because I know, we hear these things. Firstly, we feel smart, right?
yeah,
If you were an early adopter of TikTok, you're now like, I've been on TikTok. I was one of the first TikTok users.
yeah,
Or then we hear like people talking about, I just made, and this is a Clubhouse specific one.
yeah,
I joined Clubhouse like most people just before Christmas. And everyone's like, I made €10,000 today from Clubhouse. And that gets you thinking, oh, maybe I should be using Clubhouse. But actually, no, it turns out I shouldn't be using Clubhouse.
yeah,
Or also you hear with TikTok, still you hear people talking about TikTok. Oh, I joined TikTok yesterday and now I have 3,000 followers. So, all of these things entice us. But I would say just tread cautiously. Don't spend more than that 10% exploring, but do enjoy that 10% of the time.
yeah, that's great. But trends versus what data tell us. Sometimes, as you mentioned, TikTok. Sometimes TikTok isn't for everyone. So let's say if you look at what audiences are on TikTok, you can find that maybe for B2B is not a good social media channel. So what business should do in these cases? Should they approach this new platform just for brand awareness, let's say?
So I think the thing about data is, particularly with the new trend, and even TikTok is still a new trend, it's years old,
Yeah.
it's still a new trend.
Yeah.
Our data is telling us about the past. Trends are all about the future, and we can't see into the future to see what that's going to be. So you said TikTok may not be B2B, but I bet if there was someone on TikTok, I know there's an accountant on TikTok and they're doing exceptionally well. I've seen their videos.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to abandon that this isn't a B2B platform, this is just for kids. And if you enjoy using it, and if you use it well, if you use it exceptionally well, and that's where the times that comes in, it could be worth a punt. It could be worth betting on that network and building out an audience, because there are people who need accountants on TikTok. But if there are 100 accountants on there, you're lost. If you're just the one, I think it's worth looking at.
Yeah. So I totally understand. Businesses, if you, let's say, if that trend, it's similar with what your vision, with what you are, with what your mission for your business, maybe you should go for that trend. I understand.
Yeah, I mean, if your content is going to fit the TikTok style, if you can do it, it's definitely worth it. Well, it's worth trying. You need to make a cost analysis in your head, which is why I say give yourself that 10% playtime. Make sure your core business still delivers. Don't stop doing that stuff, which is actually what a lot of people do. But then have that playtime to go and try these things.
And in most cases, I think you should find the right talent or the right people who can who can explore that trend in. Let's say for TikTok in our case.
Like for a bigger business, you can give I know Google is big on this, giving personal project time to their employees. And that's exactly what you can do. You can say, who's doing TikTok, who'd like to explore this for our business? They can use their 10% time for that. I think that will work.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. So what are the most important trends for 2021?
Wow, there's loads, right? So I know we talked about this in advance. I think, live streaming has been around a long time now, but there are new trends in live streaming. So starting with, I think, in 2020, there was a massive shift that suddenly I wasn't the only person I knew using Zoom. Suddenly my friends and family are using Zoom. And everyone's just becoming familiar with the format of Zoom, whether they're looking on their phone or whether they're on the desktop, if they're doing it for fun, if they're doing it for business. And not just Zoom, obviously there are alternatives as well, but the format is the same. You're seeing all these faces on the screen and it's become our way of interacting. So I think it's really interesting that Instagram has allowed like these group calls on Instagram now, where you can have 4 people on a live. When you think about that, that's mimicking the Zoom experience. When people see that, they're going to be comfortable with it because they've seen this. This has been their life for the last 12 months. So I think we're going to see that also within Facebook rooms, which I think are quite underutilized at the moment, but you can actually go live in your Facebook group. I'm not sure if you can go live to a page, but from your Facebook group with a room. And again, it's the same format. I think you can have more than 4 people. You can definitely have more than 4 people in a room on Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. So actually making it more conversational, less, this is me presenting to you. I think that will work really well in live streaming.
Yeah.
And then thinking about live streaming, audio live streaming. We're going to talk about Clubhouse in a minute and all the audio tools. But I know I do a live Facebook and YouTube show once a week. And I'm pretty sure some of the people who watch it, have it open in a tab while they're doing other things. And that's, that is the beauty of audio, is that you can actually have this conversation without having to do your hair and makeup and wonder what's in the background. Yeah. So I think that's going to be huge. Last week, Instagram started testing the option to mute yourself when you're on an Instagram live, but they also started testing the option to switch off your camera when you're on an Instagram live. And basically, that means if you've got your camera switched off, obviously you need the sound on. That's basically an audio live broadcast. So I think there are changes in live streaming coming, and it's quite exciting. Stories. I think stories are one of those things that has become, it's not a trend anymore. Like all the social networks have stories now. So it's not a case of, this is a new thing you need to try. This is a content type now. It is solidified as a type of content that we share. Yeah. And I think what's really interesting is if you look at the places that aren't so well known for stories, so maybe Twitter and LinkedIn, if you really want to get ahead of the game, it's worth going and creating there. Because if you're good at Instagram stories, I'm not seeing that sort of really well-crafted story appearing on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So if you can do that on one of those channels, I think you have an opportunity to make an impact. Like I've been playing with fleets recently. Stories were always Instagram and Snapchat for me, but I've been playing with fleets. And even though it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that Instagram has, I'm actually really enjoying using the story format over there, where very few people are doing more than just sharing their tweets. So that's something worth looking at.
Do you see different results between fleets and Instagram stories for your clients?
So I can only comment on me. Okay. So I can only comment on me. I think for me, so far, I'm very short way into this experiment at the moment. I'm getting a lot of direct messages on Twitter from my fleets. And, I can't add a quiz sticker or any of those engagement stickers. So it is like real engagement. I'm getting a lot of people message me. I'm starting conversations with people who I haven't talked to for a long time. And I'm seeing that I'm not getting massive views. I've got like 7,000 followers on Twitter, and I think I get 20 views maybe on my fleets. But the value for me is those conversations I'm getting into, because that will convert to business or referrals at some stage. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Obviously on Instagram, I've got a much smaller following and I get more views on my stories. But actually, a lot of the people that I get following me on Instagram are just other digital marketing professionals. So it doesn't turn into business so easily. Yeah. I understand that. I saw that recently I saw a discussion between the comparison of the value of likes on Instagram compared with the value of likes on Twitter. We get less likes and we have an engagement rate lower on Twitter, but the value, the meaning of that like represents a connection, a deeper connection with your audience instead on Instagram. And I thought that it's really interesting, and it's a good example with what you are saying here. You get business leads, you create a connection with potential clients on using this type of format on Twitter. And yeah, I think that just shows you key difference, because I know I'm bad for it myself. If I'm scrolling through Instagram, I just go through clicking like on every single photo. So basically all that's saying is not that I like your photo, it's saying that I've seen it.
Yeah.
Whereas I wouldn't do that on Twitter. You know, I would like if somebody replied to me just to make sure they know I'd seen it, but I wouldn't just go through, it would be mad to go through your Twitter stream and just like everything. And that's a key difference between the two networks. And I guess the same is for LinkedIn. I don't go through my LinkedIn feed just liking everything, because that would be odd. So it's almost like a cultural difference. I think we can almost see the different social networks as different cultures, and we need to understand the culture of them really well.
Yeah, that's right.
Winter, we talk about e-commerce because I think this is half a brilliant trend and half a really scary trend. And this is, again, I think it's really taken off because of lockdown. So businesses suddenly needed to get online because they couldn't sell in the real world. And Facebook went straight in and started pushing out their shopping product to more people, making it easier to access, making it a better product for everyone. And when I'm talking about Facebook, we're talking Facebook, Instagram, and even WhatsApp now you can integrate your shop into. So I think there's a really good thing here, that it's making online shops, even if your website isn't beautiful, it's making it more accessible to people. It's making it easier for businesses to sell on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Yeah. There's also Pinterest has integrated shopping. We know TikTok, and I think the TikTok one is really interesting because they're combining live streaming with shopping. And I know Amazon are doing something similar with their live product at the moment. But all of these social networks now are beginning to integrate shopping. And like I said, it's good because we can sell more, but it's also bad because we need to know why these social networks are doing this. Why are they doing this? Because they want us to stay on their social network. They want to own their little piece of the internet. It's almost like the culture. This is their Facebook country or Facebook continent, because it's got 3 different parts to it, and they want you to stay there. Yeah. And that means they have complete control over your sales. Yeah. If they suddenly decide they don't want to support your business model, which I know will be something that has happened to a lot of people, that's it. Your shop is gone. Your way that you're selling to your customers is gone. Yeah. So even though I think for now, because Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever, are really pushing these ways to sell your business, you can absolutely use these tools. Make sure you're still working on the SEO of your website. Make sure you're still putting money into making your website a better user experience. So if those go away, or if they start charging a lot of money, you've still got a way that you can sell. Yeah, yeah. You should base your the shopping experience on your own website, and I think use social media just like a channel, like a traction channel, to get clients from there. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like you'd be crazy not to tap into the shops at the moment because you know they're giving you a lot for free. Yeah. But at some stage, you know, you need to be prepared. So you need to be prepared. Yeah. Which kind of brings me on to the next trend, if you don't mind me moving on. Yeah. Which is Clubhouse. Yeah. Right. So probably, I don't know, have people outside the digital marketing world heard of Clubhouse? I'm wondering. If not, it's basically it's like having group phone calls. That would be the best way. It's an audio only tool where you can have discussions with groups of people. It's set out a bit like a conference. So there's a stage which you can get invited to and be a speaker, or you can just listen in. Yeah. And the first time I heard about this was before it took off last year. I saw that Twitter were working on audio spaces, which is their version of Clubhouse, basically. Yeah. And when I read it, it was because Jack Dorsey, who's the boss in Twitter, had been using Clubhouse and thought, I want to add this to Twitter. And that was the first time I'd ever heard it mentioned. And then I'd say it wasn't long after, maybe a month later, suddenly everyone was talking about Clubhouse. And this is why I'm saying it's all about being prepared for the worst, because Clubhouse had not, as far as I could understand, expected such a surge of users that quickly. And the problem with Clubhouse had been, so one, it took off really fast. Everyone was talking about how much money they were making on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
So obviously it's attractive to businesses, so it grew bigger and bigger and bigger. But their problem was it was iOS only, so you could only access it on an iPhone or an iPad. And I think they weren't prepared for that sudden growth, because if they had been, they'd obviously slated making the Android app, you know, oh, it will take us this long to get this many users and then we'll bring in the Android app. But it happened so fast that suddenly they had to catch up. And I think their growth has slowed down, not just because there's competitors like Twitter Audio Spaces out there now, but also because there was no Android app.
Yeah.
They just released it as we're speaking now. They've just released their Android app. So I can see them beginning to grow again. But have people now gone, actually, I'm just going to use Twitter Spaces instead?
Yeah.
And that, I think, is really, they should have been prepared for a, what if we're more successful than we imagine we're going to be? Because that's basically what happened to them. I'm hoping it will endure, because I think there's room for another social network out there. Even though I'm not a big Clubhouse user, I can see, you know, the value there for people.
Yeah.
With other audio, you know, like Twitter Spaces, I like, because I don't have to go and find new people to follow. I've already got all the people that I'm engaging with there. We're going to see it on Facebook. We're going to see it on Reddit, which is really bizarre for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, Audio Spaces is suddenly going to be a new way of, you know, talking to people is suddenly going to be a new way of consuming content, which is really interesting. It's interesting how fast Facebook, Reddit and Twitter have actually launched their versions as well. You know, it took Instagram years to steal Snapchat, basically, you know, to come up with stories. I mean, Facebook even tried to buy Snapchat before they went there. Now it's like immediately they're launching their competitors. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we talked about TikTok already, but I think it's definitely worth talking about short form video, because I love TikTok. I don't post on TikTok. I think I've got 3 videos up there. You know, I had my playtime, decided that was going to take too much time for me to do. But TikTok is special, because when you go onto TikTok, like no other social network, you'll go and think, I'll have a quick look. And 2 hours later, you look up and you go, whoa.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. Yeah.
And it's not just the content. We will talk about that in a second, but they've also got a really innovative algorithm which we're trying to decode to see, how are they just giving me all these videos that I love? How do they know? How do they know? So, you know, that's the first thing. But I think the video content itself is exciting and interesting, and you can create just amazing effects on your phone. Like, I used to work in the film business when I was a kid. I wanted to make TV. I studied film and television in college. We used to like have a carload or a truckload of equipment we bring around with us. And I couldn't do with all that truckload of equipment what you can do in TikTok. And I think that's what's so exciting. I wish I was a student again, so that I would have the time to put into doing TikTok videos. But it really is amazing content. So again, the other social networks are adapting and stealing pieces of TikTok. We've got Instagram Reels, which is taking off big time. And the thing with Facebook and Instagram is that they can make a trend happen, because we know as businesses, right, we are obsessed with the algorithm. We're obsessed with reach and engagement. So what do they do when they launch Reels? They make sure that your Reels get in front of as many people as possible. They've got the Reels tab, comes up in the Explore tab. They're going to prioritize that content in the feed. And when we see that, that means that we do more of that, right? And I think it's totally worth it at the moment, as long as they keep pushing this product. So we're going to see it on Facebook. There's YouTube Shorts. They've just put a whole lot of money into a prize fund for people who are creating shorts on YouTube. Snapchat, and now you can make a snap, just one snap that's 15 seconds long, as a short form video content, and they've got a new way of promoting that as well. So everyone is jumping on this bandwagon as well. So I think, if that is the type of content you're able to create, and I think that's the downside, and it's where TikTok are struggling, is to get businesses onto the platform, because obviously they need businesses on the platform to advertise.
Yeah.
And the big barrier there is, how do I create great content? So that's a big thing.
Yeah.
But it's an exciting one because I love video. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I could get lost in creating TikTok content every day, but it doesn't really, it would take more than 10% of my time. So,
Okay.
So that's it.
You did the math and it's for your business.
Yeah, exactly. So I make videos for YouTube. And that takes me long enough, to be honest. So I would have to abandon YouTube to do TikTok, basically.
Yeah.
Podcasting, we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
So everyone has a podcast now, right?
Yeah.
So this is a difficult one because I'm not sure how many podcasts are out there, but podcasts are really hard to market. I'm just going to put it out there. I used to have a podcast. I decided I much preferred doing video, so I went down the video route. But it's really hard to get people to listen, and you have to be consistent for a long time. So I think when you're podcasting, you need to have a long-term plan. You need to set out what metrics you are going to measure over time to see, are you successful? I know there are a lot more podcast visitors because my podcast is still up there.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more listeners now than when it was live. So I know there are more podcast listeners out there. But I think you really need to think about how you can stand out. Is it going to be quality? Is it going to be comedy? Are you going to do something really differently? Are you going to get celebrities? You can't just interview the same people everyone else is interviewing. You need to find those unique people that your customer's going to be really interested in. If you do a show, definitely put a twist on it, so it's about something rather than I'm just going to interview a whole load of social media experts, because that's not interesting. If you're going to interview a whole lot of social media experts who have cats, I'll volunteer for that one. That could be an interesting podcast, so you need to think about how you can put a twist on it. I don't think you shouldn't start one. You need to know that it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to build a listenership over time. Yeah.
It can be similar with content marketing, because when you are starting a blog, it takes time until you get, a better position in Google from 1 to 10, maybe 1 year, one year and a half. To have a better position on Google. So maybe businesses should have the same approach with podcasting.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we have a podcast that shows Social Insider Insights podcast. We started with some general themes and some general speakers, guests on the podcast. But we saw that we have to have a twist on that podcast, because, as you said, everyone has the same guest. Everyone talks about the same things, and if you want to get more listener and to get an audience on that platforms, you have to bring something unique, something new for your business, and it's hard. It's not easy.
And it's a whole different skill set, isn't it? Because I think one of the reasons I get listeners to my old podcast is that it's all embedded in my blog, and my blog gets traffic, and that was something I built over a period of time, so but it's not just, I don't have people listening on Apple Podcasts much, I don't know if it ever went into Spotify. Yes, Spotify. I always get Spotify and Shopify mixed up. I don't know. Don't know if it ever went to Spotify, but I'm not getting any listeners from there in a way.
Yeah.
It's all coming from my website, and it is just a whole different skill set. I think as marketers, we're used to going, well, this is what you do to promote something. Yeah. But actually, it's really different for podcasts.
Yeah. Great. So we talk about Instagram trends. We talk about Twitter. We didn't touch LinkedIn too much in this conversation. So what people should do on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, I'm actually kind of excited about the direction LinkedIn is going in. I suppose there's some kind of like solid things that if you are a new LinkedIn user, because I know it really is growing fast, is instead of thinking about, I need to connect with these people, I need to post content out there, you need to think about what's happening once you've connected to somebody. So it can be a lot more proactive than those other social networks. When you connect with somebody, you'll see that LinkedIn even prompts you to send them a message. And I would recommend doing that. I would recommend building some rapport with the people you're connecting with through the direct messaging on LinkedIn. That's the first thing. If you're not doing that, if you're just randomly connecting to as many people as possible, you're really missing an opportunity. And I have to give like a hat tip to my friend Louise Brogan, who is a LinkedIn genius, because she taught me this recently and I've been following her advice and it's been brilliant. The thing about LinkedIn is I already get a lot of leads from LinkedIn without doing much. So, don't think about you have to saturate it with content. But where I'm excited is two things. One thing a lot of people are complaining about, but I think it's good, is the content that's appearing on LinkedIn now is a little bit more social and a little less boring. So people will be talking about what's going on in their life and their day. And I think that's important for a business-to-business network, because when we went out and did networking, you don't go up to someone and just talk boring stuff at them.
Yeah.
You get to know them, right? You get to know if they have kids, what their hobbies are. Do they have cats? Because then we've just made them a good match always. And I think that's more of the way that LinkedIn is going.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn are also launching this thing called you can be a LinkedIn creator. And we know that creator is a code word for influencer, right? So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And that gives you a slightly different profile. It gives you, some people have this now, it's brand new. You can actually record a short video that will appear in your profile photo.
Yeah.
You can tell people what topics you're going to be talking about. I'm seeing this as a kind of a halfway phase between your profile and a business page.
Yeah.
So, you're getting the best of both worlds. And I do think this will mean LinkedIn will become a more interesting place to be. And just that little video post will give you a much better connection with your audience. So more of that sort of thing I want to see coming from LinkedIn, really. Also, they both them and Instagram have just announced they're doing the same, have added the option to add pronouns to your profile, which, if you're not aware of that, that's you say I'm she, her.
Yeah.
You say how you want to be addressed.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm excited about this, that the big platforms are doing this, is because this is something that people who are trans friendly have been encouraged to do, to make it normal, to normalize the fact that you can choose how you want to be referred to. But when the big tech giants get involved in this means so many more people are going to adopt it without having to talk about the politics behind it, because that's always the thing that's put me off. It's like, I don't want to talk about, I don't have enough knowledge to talk about this. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah, good, great. So Amanda, how do you measure if a trend is working for your business?
So to start with, when you're playing, you're probably not going to, but once you get onto that, I think the first thing, and particularly because a lot of these platforms and tools you'll be using are in their infancy, you need to just see if you're reaching the right people. So if you've got a TikTok account, you'll need to switch over to a business account to get this sort of analytics. Yeah. The same with Instagram. But that's the most important thing at the start, because a lot of these platforms aren't going to be sending traffic off site straight up. So have a look in your analytics for all those platforms and just make sure, if you're an accountant and you're reaching people between 16 and 18, unless you're particularly targeting those people, it's not going to be the right market for you. So that's the first thing I would look at. Then you want to look, other things. So are people visiting your website, if that's possible, from the network? I mean, there's lots of ways you can actually get people to your website from Instagram, from posts. Anything that has a direct message, just ask people to direct message you if they want a link. That's a way that you can measure it. So both that engagement that you'll be getting in those direct messages, that's a good measurement. So like I was talking about Twitter, but I'm getting these direct messages from people from my fleets. So it's definitely worth doing. how many people then are visiting your website, how many people are signing up to your email list, and obviously how many of those people end up buying from you, because that's the most important metric. But early on, you're only going to have that am I reaching the right people metric, because that's all you're going to be able to get from the network. So the other stuff comes further down the line.
Okay, I understood. So my last question for you is, if brands or businesses should go for a trend even if their competitors aren't there. For example, last year I saw that some fashion brands released micro communities on Instagram for women and for men, but not everyone is doing this right now. If I'm, let's say, I'm launching a fashion brand and I'm going to use Instagram to promote my business. I don't, for at the beginning, I'm not going to have two communities, men and women. What brands should do in these cases?
I think if you can be the only person doing it and it's a good idea, that's fantastic. That's amazing. You absolutely don't have to do it. In fact, I would go, if everyone's doing that, I'm not going to bother doing it. I'm going to do something different, because standing out is what's going to make you different. So if there are 20 fashion brands and they've all got a male one and a female one, well, maybe you want to do something different. Maybe you want to do one that, I don't know, I can't think of an idea off the top of my head, but maybe you want to do something that is going to be the new trend. Maybe you want to be the trend setter rather than a trend follower. Or maybe, and this is what I was talking about right at the beginning, you should just focus on your core. What is working for you? How are people coming to you? How can you get more of that stuff to happen? And you're right, if you've only got 1,000 followers, you're actually splitting that in half by having a male brand and a female brand, so you're going to have to build. I would say you'd want a lot before you want to split that out. And also, from my experience on e-commerce sites, a lot of women buy clothes for men. I don't think it happens the other way around so much. But it's like, do you really want to niche that far down when actually, it could be me that's buying my other half's clothes?
Yeah, I understand. I love the what you were saying. Be a trendsetter, not a trend follower. I think it's a good idea for businesses. So I think this is all about social media trends in 2021. Thank you so much, Amanda, for these wonderful ideas. I think they are pretty useful for everyone, for every social media manager and marketer who want to discover and want to learn how can you use these trends and how can they get better results with their businesses. So to sum it up, this discussion, we have some trends for this year, and everyone, I think, should do an analysis for their businesses and play around. As Amanda said, first you have to play around with that trend, see if you feel comfortable, if you see some results, and also make sure you do an analysis. And if that trend is in line with your company vision, with your business vision, maybe you can go with it. Specifically, as the social media trends, we have spaces for Twitter. We have live streams for on every platform. I think we have on Facebook, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. YouTube, everyone is have the option to go live. When it comes to Instagram, stories is a new content type, a new content format. So we don't talk about stories just a way to share what you are posting in the feed. Stories actually are a type of content. And also on Instagram and other platforms, we are going to see more and more an active presence. We're going to see more shopping, more ways to shop from these platforms. People already can do this from Instagram, for Pinterest. Amanda already mentioned that you can do this. TikTok is testing this option, and also from Amazon. And of course, audio content Clubhouse is a trend. We're going to see how the other platform will adopt this type of content, and also we shouldn't forget about short form videos on TikTok and Reels. They are super creative, and all the time I don't know, I think that it requires to be creative and to spend enough time to create a TikTok video or a Reels on as a business on these platforms. And podcasting is pretty interesting. As Amanda said, as a business, you have to find a twist for going to this for doing podcast. If you have the same guest in your podcast as your competitors, maybe you should rethink your strategy for this channel. When it comes to LinkedIn, we are going to see more and more creators on this, more and more content creators, but it's not, as Amanda said, we shouldn't compare them with influencers, more and more business creators. And LinkedIn is a platform which encourages people to connect and to get to know each other before to work together. How can we measure as a business these social media trends? First, we should go to the native analytics and see how people engage with your content. Then you can measure the traffic you get, the direct messages you get. Let's say maybe you get some sign-ups to your newsletter, and finally you get some paying customer from social media. And yeah, don't forget, be a trendsetter and not a trend follower. If your competitors are not doing something, or they are doing something, think of something unique, a unique approach you can apply with your business on your business accounts. Please follow Amanda on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn to get more social media trends and business ideas. So thank you so much, Amanda, for this pretty interesting insights. Thank you for joining this session.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. I love talking marketing.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, tomorrow we are going to have two live sessions about social media data performance, and don't join us there. Thank you. Bye bye.